it's in the shop, and I want to get it running and make sure it's going to run well enough to get it from the launch ramp around to my boathouse. It's not usually an issue to run these for a couple of minutes without any water, but I do like to lubricate the skeg bearing here so it doesn't get worn. I'm just using this lubricant called fluid film, just spraying a bit on here on the skeg bearing. I'm also going to go up forward and shoot some onto the U-joint as well. The U-joint shouldn't be too bad because I got the prop down and the shaft is straight now. Okay, with the gas in there, I'm just going to go through the starting ritual here. There is one main shut off at the tank, which is now open. Now, there will be an airlock. I don't see any in that filter yet, but as soon as I open this valve back here, this is the main shut off valve that will be used in operation. Noticed a pretty big, quite a bit of gas pouring out of the carburetor. So I've turned off the shut off now. I'm just going to sometimes the float gets stuck, especially with the when I was installing it, it got rotated several times as it got wound on. I'm just going to try and drain that gas out of the carburetor, open the shut off again. Make sure there's I'm not going to be filling the boat with gas. I've removed the little cap over the needle valve here, and I'm just going to give this a little tap. Make sure that's moving freely. It's just got a little cover on it. This is usually just finger tight. It's the first thing I check when a carburetor is leaking. I see it's actually the threads aren't even tightening, but it doesn't really matter. And keep the bugs out of there. So I'm going to try the gas on again to see what happens. Should be filling the carburetor now. One thing I would like to find is a little cake pan to put under the carburetor here. I like to have those on a boat, especially under the carburetor. That's where all the gasoline problems happen. And now for the starting ritual. First thing I do is I'm going to tighten the grease cups down a little bit. Make sure we got some grease at the bearings. Remember, the bottom one here is a dummy. The gasoline is on, so now I'm going to open the priming valve here. Doesn't seem to have a lot of sight. There we go. Now I've got to take this out to the first notch, which is the open position on the priming cup. Taking a while to get some gasoline into this priming pump. I think this priming pump needs a little bit of packing. I don't seem to be getting any suction out of that, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, I'm going to try and deal with one thing at a time here. I've got several things going on. I have a bad habit of doing 50 things at once, not remembering what I was supposed to be doing initially. So I'm going to repack this. This is just some graphite yarn. I noticed there was no suction on the priming pump, so I'm going to push a little bit of that in there. I've got the external nut here. This is what tightens the packing against the pump shaft and creates the seal. Sometimes these pump shafts, they get kind of hourglass shaped and they don't work as that great anyway. I think in this case there's absolutely no packing in here. So I don't want to get it too tight because then it'll be too hard to work the pump. Just so I can feel a bit of suction. That's not bad. I can, of course I can't really test it until I get the gas opened again, and I can't open the gas again until I get the that carburetor leak fixed. I think think I'm going to put one more strand in there, but I'll do that right now. Okay, I think I've got the gas leak fixed at the carburetor. I'm going to try the priming pump again. I have this handle out for the first notch. The priming pump isn't really working that great. I can see it might be a good idea with this boat. Some boats you don't really need to prime them, but it might be a good idea with this boat to keep a little oil can full of gasoline mixture. Now, I'll close the priming cup. Next thing is to figure out which one is the ignition switch, which is this one here. And I'm going to turn it over by hand. I hear the coil going, so I don't have spark. And now the moment of truth. Screw that tight. I'm going to try it one more time. Closing the priming cup. Timing retarded. Yeah, I'm going to just put a bit of gas in here manually. Just turn the flywheel a little bit so the piston will suck the mixture in. I'll make sure it's sucking it in rather than blowing it out. Engine does have really good compression. It doesn't want to be sucking down. I have a feeling this thing might be plugged as well. So I've got one shot of gas in there. The other thing is here I've got the needle fairly rich, which means this handle is put in all the way. Okay, I think that's going to be fairly good. I don't like to run it too long out on the just the way it's supported. I'd far rather have it running in the water. To facilitate access to this packing nut, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the priming rod out here. I've already taken the coil and the battery out here. I'm just going to take this shelf out so I get a little more room to operate. Okay, I've got my little magnetic light on here. I'm trying to get a picture of this because this is something that a lot of people can do themselves. I mean, I've run into situations before where it's a 4-hour drive to drive up and do a 30-minute job. So it says a little difficult, but it can be done by most people. There are little knobs on this shaft log. I have a little punch here, just a piece of steel. A screwdriver would do it. I'm just going to tap it. At the back side there is also a jam nut that is supposed to lock this in position. I noticed this thing is all the way back at the end of its travel, so I could probably use some more packing in here. I don't know how successful it'll be at being able to, actually there's lots of packing in there, so I might put maybe just another strand in there. But I'm going to take the phone out here so I can get a close-up of this. I think I've got this in another video too, but this is pretty important on these boats. What I have here is the, fire the cameraman here. What I have here is the, this is the part I've loosened the threads on, and in the back here is a cone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this cone off. Clean that cone off as best I can and put a bit of Sikaflex around that and clean the inside of the cup and clamp it back into place. That'll keep that thing from spinning, because when it starts spinning it's just metal on metal and it's no good. Okay, I've got the thing super cleaned. I sprayed them with some brake cleaner to get any grease off of the inner cone and the outer thing, and I put a couple more strands of packing on it. That way, when it's locked up, this locking ring at the back here won't be out of adjustment. There'll be a bit of room. So I'm going to tighten it up until it's snug, and I don't want it too tight because then it gets hot. Too loose and it leaks. I find it's better to have it drip a little bit than have it too tight. So I'm just going to tighten that up and clean the squeeze out of the Sikaflex out, and that should keep that thing from spinning. I've got Fisher down in the boathouse now. I'm just hoping to deliver it tomorrow. Just a couple little things I want to do. I want to set up the adjustment on the mixture screw here, which is going to involve taking it out for a short run. The other thing I want to do is just make sure I oil this. This is just regular motor oil, like 10W30 in the eccentric for the water pump. That should be done every so often. The other one is there's a little oil hole in the top of the starter drum here. I'll just put a squirt in there. The other spot is on the timer there. There's a little wiper. It's hard to see here. A little wiper here that keeps the timer clean. That's pretty important. Anyway, that should have a little bit of 3-in-1 oil on it. What I'm going to be trying to adjust here is this is pretty common on these boats. This outer part here is removable, and then you reposition it to where it's going to work best for when you're using it. I see on this installation, I don't know whether Ron or Paul Donington did this, they split the rod here. So there's a little clamp bolt here. I can loosen the clamp bolt and just adjust the position here. What I want to do is get it running fairly warm under load and lean it down until it just is about to backfire, and then back it off. The other thing I'm going to do is back on the dashboard here, going to refill the grease cups, make sure there's lots of grease in those. This is the mixture control knob here, so when you're starting it, this is in. This is the timing. It should be fully retarded. And that's about it. I did have a bit of an issue with the priming pump. I took a picture of it. Like an idiot, I decided to try and clear the check valve in the back of the pump, which has a little tiny ball in it, and the ball is somewhere in the bilge of the boat, so I had to go to great lengths to find another 5/32 brass ball. I mean, they don't sell them in the hardware store. But anyway, the pump is all working fine now. So it's a little breezy out here, but didn't have much trouble starting it. It's just hard to hold the camera and start the boat at the same time. So I'm just going to go over this needle adjustment here. You see the boat is kind of running like a bit of a dog here. I'm just going to take this lever off, and when I turn this clockwise, it's leaning the mixture, it's turning the needle in, and that's where I want it. This seems to be about where it's happy, so when I put this needle back on here, it doesn't want to fit there. So that's where I'm just going to loosen this clamp bolt, slide the rod back, so when you pull the Just going to turn it off to do that. I did also notice that the engine is running a little warm. It's a pretty common thing when a boat's been out of the water for a while, so most people who own a dippy know about this ritual. You have to take these two caps off. It's important not to mix them up either. If you, it's not always critical, but on a lot of pumps, if you mix them up, all of a sudden the pump's not going to run right. It's because there's a little, the cap here actually sets the clearance of how high the ball can lift, and if it's not lifting the right amount, it can create problems. We're going to take this one off. You can tell that there's quite an effect to the mixture. When you lean it out, they run a lot better. But the problem with a lot of people have with Dispros is they fail to get the concept that to get it to start, you have to start it fairly rich. But if you just keep running it rich, it's going to foul up and it's not going to run that well. So this is probably why I'm making this video, so a lot of people can. I think people forget after a while. I've taken this cap off here, I've loosened it, and I've manually turned the needle to, and I'm using the GPS on my phone here, and I just leaned it out until the boat is doing 6 miles an hour, which is what is maximum speed, and that's where I'm going to put it. Through here, we're going to clamp that on so it can't be moved, and then that should be good. If you get it too far, the boat will backfire, and then sometimes when you push the needle back in to start it, it might not be rich enough to start. But I think this is where the boat wants to run. It seems happy there. Sounds good. I'm happy with it. I hope the owner's going to have a beautiful summer with his boat. I remember with Ron out on Georgian Bay, his favorite seat was right in the back seat here. I think I can see why. I've got the pump running, and any of the little leaking is all running to the back now, so the pump's taking care of it. I think this boat, it's been out of the water for a long time. It's not leaking too bad, but the problem with a lot of dippies is when they sit in the water, a lot of the laps above the waterline dry up. And it takes a bit of use until the water gets kind of splashed in those. I've noticed a couple of spots where the water is coming in and it's above the water line where it sits in the boat. But this is a beautiful day.